Oilers fans are livid at this, as they did not make enough moves to push their team to the Stanley Cup Finals. This shocking event has Oil Country absolutely fired up, and we'll be covering that and more on today's video. Hello everyone, welcome back to Oilers Digest. My name is Nikash Ganguli. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, an amazing week whenever you guys are watching this. And today is the NHL Trade Deadline. The smoke has cleared, the dust has settled, and today we'll be looking at some posts and quotes about what Stan Bowman said about the Oilers trade deadline, some reactions fans are thinking. We'll dive into that, and we'll do a little bit of a retrospective on the moves that could have been made and the moves that weren't made today in today's video, of course. Now, before we get into all that, though, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. 80% of Oilers Digest viewers are currently not subscribed, so if you want to see all the Oilers news in the most digestible fashion, hit subscribe and join that small number 20. Let's get that number higher, everyone. We're getting closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. In every video I said we're getting closer to the trade deadline, and the trade deadline is over. So now all we have left is the Stanley Cup Playoffs, Stanley Cup Finals, and then free agency whenever that happens, but that's far down the road. But we do have a lot to discuss today. We're going to do a little bit of a retrospective of the Oilers' past 24-ish hours, dive into a lot of quotes that came out of Stan Bowman's press conference, some posts from a lot of reporters and insiders within the realm of the Edmonton Oilers. So that'll be the base of today's video. Kind of give everyone a deep look into why Oilers fans aren't as happy with this trade deadline as they should have been, and maybe why Stan Bowman didn't make the moves he should have. So let's dive right into that. So first things first, let's look at a quick deadline recap from Oilers Daily on Twitter, or X now. So in was Jake Walman, Trent Frederick, who was covered on the channel in another video, Max Jones, and Peter Hauser, more of a depth piece. And then out was Shane LaChance, Max Wanner, Carl Berglund, a second, a first top 12 projected, very important, and a 2026 fourth. So now the question remains: is this good enough for Edmonton? Because a lot of the talk was Edmonton needs a goalie, Edmonton needs a goalie, Edmonton needs a goalie, Edmonton needs a goalie. Because Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, despite having okay numbers to start off the year, have not been that great recently. I think both their save percentages dropped below 900. The Oilers have not been playing great as of late, and a large part of that is due to the goalies, and that did not happen. That was a very glaring move. Another thing was an impact top 6 forward to play with Leon Draisaitl. We'll dive into that more. I think Stan Bowman also said Trent Frederick might play in the top 6, so we'll dive into that. But Jake Walman, obviously a huge piece for them. I don't think they really gave up that much in terms of assets. Again, the Oilers are a Stanley Cup, a team that is aspiring to win the Stanley Cup as per usual. And with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, you have to do that every year, of course. And I think Trent Frederick and Max Jones, they bring a different type of aspect to this team. Someone when they said they had a lot of guys who kind of did the same thing, you know, more skilled wingers. And Trent Frederick and Max Jones, they are huge, really big, truculent wingers. The Oilers really needed someone like that, so that's big. And Jake Walman, who we'll cover in another video, is a big addition for them. I think he's going to be very strong for them. They needed another defenseman back there. It did look a little shaky. John Klingberg has not been very good for them, so that is certainly something to follow as he gets into the lineup hopefully soon here. But let's dive into what else is going on. So obviously we have the Jake Walman trade, which we discussed. It was Jake Walman for a first-round pick and Carl Berglund. Carl Berglund, a prospect for the Oilers, not one of their marquee chips like a Bo Akey or a Sam O'Reilly, or Matt Savoie, of course. Matt Savoie seems like someone they're going to keep for the future. And this was a solid trade for the Oilers. We'll do a full video on that soon on the channel. But this was a solid trade for them. I really liked this when I was reading about it, like solely make waves online. Smart trade for the Oilers. They needed another big defenseman back. Not necessarily a big defenseman, just a strong, puck-moving, steady defenseman as they get closer to the playoffs. They're going to need the depth. And again, like I said, John Klingberg really hasn't done well for them. And they've been pretty... It's definitely not just his fault, but they've been pretty bad since he joined the team. And then obviously we have the Trent Frederick trade, of course, which was... this was obviously a pair of trades, but the most important part was they did acquire Max Jones and Trent Frederick. Again, two huge forwards that are going to add a lot of depth to the deadline. And we did have... Sam Bowman say this about Trent Frederick. He expects Trent Frederick to make his Oilers debut before the end of the month. He is also, I believe Trent Frederick is dealing with some sort of an injury, as a top 6 winger or a third-line center. So, a lot of people may have thought Trent Frederick is just going to be their 4th-line center. The Oilers have really needed a 4th-line center. They've been kind of rotating guys in and out, especially someone like Noah Philp, Adam Henrique have been in and out of those positions. But, I honestly thought Trent Frederick would come in as a 4 seed, but they're saying he could be a top 6 winger. Let me know what you guys think of that. Do you think it makes sense to put Trent Frederick with Leon Draisaitl? Who knows? Maybe it could work, maybe it couldn't. They just want a big bruising body up there. I think third line center is probably gonna be a good spot for him. In my opinion, the Oilers are obviously super strong down the middle with their 1-2 punch there. They can also rotate in guys like Henrique, Nugent-Hopkins, players like that, of course. But I think at the end of the day, Trent Frederick, I don't know if he's a top 6 winger on the Edmonton Oilers. I think they're just trying to experiment with guys there because we've talked about this pretty much all season with the Oilers. Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson, they simply have not been that good. Despite how much money the Oilers have given them and the amount of opportunity with these players on the power play, or McDavid and Draisaitl and whoever it may be, they have not been that good. So maybe Trent Frederick, the expectations aren't that high, so maybe he could be something. And Max Jones, I think, is going to be a solid, truculent addition to the bottom 6 as well. And another major update we had coming out of the Oilers trade deadline, of course, is going to be that Evander Kane is going to be out for the entirety of the regular season. There were some whispers that maybe he could come back before. That is not happening. The Oilers made it clear and concrete today in an article they dropped on their Twitter. After further consultation with team medical staff, it has been determined that forward Evander Kane will not be ready to return to action for the remainder of the 2024-2025 season. As a result, he will remain on LTIR. Now, this is very important because we have been talking about Evander Kane a lot. Will he be back? Won't he be back? Will this impact the Oilers' need to get a forward? And Stan Bowman did obviously say that that he's a very valuable piece of the team. He brings something a lot of the Oilers wingers don't. They've missed that this year. His his mix of goal scoring, physicality, just being a guy on the ice that a lot of people don't like playing against, and also putting pucks in the net, and they missed that a lot this season. So hopefully for the Oilers, Evander Kane can come back fully healthy for the playoffs. He is going to be rusty, so maybe they're expecting Trent Frederick to be like a pseudo Evander Kane kind of replacement. Of course, not the same kind of goal scoring prowess or stature, but I think that could honestly be something to follow as we get closer to the playoffs. How good will Evander Kane be if he is ready for Game 1? They're also not sure if he will be ready for that Game 1. This injury does, of course, seem pretty serious, and I think a lot of fans are hoping that if Evander Kane wasn't able to play, the Oilers would get a big impact top 6 forward. And if we look at this post from I believe it will be Ryan Rashog here. If we look at that, if we look at this post from Ryan Rashog, of course, he has aspects of the Oilers stand pat on their goaltenders, which we talked about at the beginning of the video. They had a puck more on the blue line, and so puck more on the blue line is obviously going to be Jake Wallman. Bruiser can score up front. Is going to be Trent Frederick, I think. And a depth winger is going to be, of course, Max Jones. Now, the glaring hole is next to 29. They hope someone steps back. And I think the person who they want to step back is going to be, of course, Matt Savoie. Because Matt Savoie is the young, speedy-ish winger who they want to play very well. They didn't trade him. There was a lot of rumors about could they trade him maybe in a Mikko Rantanen deal, who did end up moving again. That, of course, didn't come to fruition. And Matt Savoie is going to have a lot of expectations on him to be that second line winger, to play with Leon Draisaitl, of course, because I think Matt Savoie could be a good player for them. He's going to be young. He has a very decent offensive touch to him, so I think it could be a very interesting thing to see if they would they do Frederick, Draisaitl, Savoie. You could probably shelter Savoie a little bit more if you have someone like Frederick being there, and Draisaitl, of course, he's Leon Draisaitl. He attracts a ton of attention, obviously. Now, an interesting thing to look at was the Oilers. There were certain moves a lot of fans wanted, but Stan Bowman did say they tried to do a lot of stuff, but they couldn't make any more moves. So this was a quote, obviously pulled from Donovan Paulson on Twitter. We talked about a number of things that we couldn't get down to the finish line, and he said trade protection didn't play a huge factor for us today. Now, if we do think about that from Oilers' perspective, we know a lot of teams are trying to do different things. Maybe who were the Oilers in on? There was a lot of decent forward pieces that were moved today. We've talked about a ton of these guys on the channel, and nothing really happened in terms of the top 6. And I think that is something Oilers fans are mad about, as well as the goaltending not being fixed. And I think what the Oilers' mindset may be is, well, Stuart Skinner didn't have the greatest regular season last year, but we see in the playoffs he did kind of lock in and play pretty well, so they're just gonna roll with the punches there. But maybe you want a better backup than Calvin Pickard. Maybe Calvin Pickard is more of a decent third depth goalie going into the playoffs here, and I think that is that is something that Oilers fans might be a little bit mad about, and I would be a little bit mad about that too. You know, you spend all this time realizing, guys, we have no depth scoring on the wings, and then you don't trade for him. You get Trent Frederick, who isn't really known for his offensive prowess, or Max Jones, same thing, but you really want him to score, but maybe they just think Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner are going to magically figure it out over the next month or so. So that'd be interesting. So before we wrap up the video, let's check out where the Oilers are at now in terms of depth, thanks to Puckpedia, of course. So if we look at the Oilers depth chart on the forwards, obviously you have the McDavid, Draisaitls, and Hymans, and then Evander Kane obviously is going to be on LTIR, Trent Frederick at the bottom there, and Max Jones, the notable additions. Again, this forward group is solid if you just look at the names, but if you dive into the production, guys like Adam Henrique have added guys like Adam Henrique. I feel like Mattias Janmark, I feel like Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner have all had disappointing seasons, and I think you want a lot more of all of them. We saw Mattias Janmark's breakaway attempt, that was kind of funny, but I think you want more of all of them. I think that's what the Oilers are pretty, like, hanging their, putting all their bets on, is these guys kind of figuring out in the playoffs. The Oilers are a guaranteed playoffs team, we know that, so are they going to magically start figuring out the playoffs? Some of these guys might be playoff risers. Who really knows? And then the major move the Oilers did, of course, was going to be on defense. If we look at that, there they have Darnell Nurse, Mattias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, Jake Wallman, Brett Kulak, John Klingberg, Ty Emerson, and Troy Stetcher. To me, this is a solid defense core if everyone's healthy. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, Sam Bowman reiterated his belief in Evan Bouchard today. No reason why I shouldn't do that. He's an amazing player. But I think a top four of Nurse, Wallman, Bouchard, Ekholm is very good. Get John Klingberg off that second pair. It's clearly not working. So that'll be interesting to follow. And then finally, let's wrap up the video by saying we have this quote from Stan Bowman, of course, where he did say we're aggressive in many things, and the Oilers, we were aggressive to trying to make all things happen, and they were all in to try to win. And that's all you can do in this league is try your hardest, of course. So, guys, let me know what you thought of the Oilers trade deadline. Did they make all the moves you wanted? What did they miss out on? Was there a specific player you're like, dang, I really thought the Oilers should have got that? Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Hit a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And we see you guys always on the next Oilers Digest video. Peace out and have a good one.